Let me share with you one of life's best kept little secrets right here. As I go on my walk, I'm walking my dog right now. You can see Max right there. I'm walking my dog, and right here next to the house is patch right along this creek bed right here. It's a patch of wild black raspberries. Some people may call them blue raspberries. Some people may call them what other names for them? Huckleberries. They got all kinds of names. Huckleberries actually are the form of blueberry, but these are indeed raspberries. And you can see them. Let me switch my camera around real quick and see if it'll let me do this while I'm recording. I don't see the button for switching. All right, so let me just see if I can show you right here. Let's see without getting the shadow in there. But right here, and these things are covered with thorns. But yeah, that's one right there. And you know, summertime. It's the middle of June. Straight out the huckle. The briar patch. This is definitely a briar patch. And right now the thorns fire me up. All right, but this reminds me of the raspberry patch I found in Roanoke Rapids, on the site of our ancestors' house, former home. My ancestor, my great grandfather, Augustus Jenkins. Well, based on the recollection of his granddaughter Mildred Jenkins Doughton, she told me where his old house used to be. It's currently behind an existing church structure, and in the back, behind the parking lot, on the edge where his farm or his house used to be, was a small farm, small house, no longer exists. But there was a patch of red and black raspberries growing there. Years ago when I discovered that, I went down there and had a chance to taste those beautiful raspberries, and it was the same time of year. So that's it. That's just me out and about walking my dog. I also, while I'm walking him, I carry plastic bags to collect the trash, because that's something I cannot stomach or tolerate. Seeing trash out here, you know, all these black Americans want to claim they native, but they don't want to claim Africa, but they want to claim they native, but they do the worst kinds of things in terms of taking care of the land and the country. You know, all this is God's creation. All right. So this is from one African brother who knows he's African and knows who he is and where he's from. And with all of that complex history involved. Because there were some of us here before Columbus. Some of us came here and we're here when Europeans began to explore this part of the world. There were Africans already here. Africans who traveled by boat. Why do we think that Africans can only travel if white people come to Africa and board us on a boat and make us travel, when Africans populated the entire planet? So yes, Africans were traveling by boat to the Americas long time. I'm not gonna say we were the first here, but you just do the math. More likely we were the first, but that's another story. But we were here, and we were living at peace, sometimes at war, with other people we found here. Sometimes we intermingled and created new societies, new cultures, new traditions, a new people, with mingling, intermarrying with the people we found. And then other times we remained isolated. There were pockets probably in the Georgias and Florida and Carolina coastal areas, and maybe even further inland, going all the way into Tennessee and other parts, even as far as down as in Mexico, Texas area, that were Mississippi, Louisiana, that were isolated areas where Africans kind of remained distinct and separate. But nevertheless, there were Africans here, and going up and down up the coast of the Americas, all the way up to Maine and into Canada. You had populations of Africans. So if you look at some of those Native American tribes that no longer exist, unfortunately, that have been either exterminated, have been genocided as a result of paper genocide or direct physical genocide, you'll find that many of those populations had blacks who were in dominant proportions in some of those tribes. And those blacks that were here came prior to Spanish conquest, because the Spanish were here first, and came prior to the English colonies that were established in Virginia and in Massachusetts. So they were here before Columbus ever set sail. And as a matter of fact, Columbus knew that Africans had been traveling here. That's why he had Africans navigating for him. The Nino brothers were indeed Africans who had been traveling across the Atlantic, so much so that they were known as experts on navigating the waters. The problem was that Columbus didn't trust them entirely and wouldn't listen to them on the first voyage. And then when he got corroborating evidence for everything they were telling him from that first voyage, then he went back on the second voyage and followed the route that they recommended and came over here in half the time. So the African travel across the Atlantic, whether you call them Moors or not, actually they were West Africans who were traveling here. Some North Africans also with them. Some other members of what then made up predominantly Islamic Spain, and not just Muslims, but Jewish, because the Muslims that established the civilization in Spain was a multi, they were inclusive. They were a very diverse group of people, and so they had Jews among them, they had Christians, they had probably people who didn't even have a proclaimed belief system that were a part of their society, and if they had certain talents and expertise, then they employed them. And so many of the first voyages that came, not first, because there were voyages even before then, but those early voyages included all kinds of people. But definitely Africans were part of it, West Africans were a part of it, and they were not just some side people in the background. They were very prominently involved in the exploration of the Americas long before Columbus. And they predominantly were coming for trade. They weren't coming to conquer, to set up a flag, to dominate. They had no delusions of some manifest destiny or all that crap. They were just coming to see what these other humans had that they could trade with, and indeed they traded and sailed back. I wouldn't even be surprised if there were some people who were here on the shores of this continent who actually even traveled over to Europe and to Africa. I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen either. Now, how is that possible? Because you have in your mind the illusion that the only people capable of doing that are Western Europeans. And if you understand that we're all humans and we all have the same brain capacity, the same intellectual capacity, and that Africa was extremely advanced during those times when Europe was experiencing the Dark Ages. It was called the Dark Ages for a reason. Africa was extremely advanced during that time, and actually led to Africa's advancement and progress and intellectual and technological advancements led to what became the European Renaissance. I'm sorry you didn't get that lesson, but that is the truth. All right. So here we have it. And anyway, all of that, just to say, that's enough. I've talked a little longer than I expected, but anyway, that's enough for this first one. Thanks. Bye.